Commissioner. The meeting of the Board of Ellis County Commissioners will now come to order. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Bobby, if you could call the roll.
Commissioner Joe LaRue.
Here.
Chair Butch Schleier.
Here.
Commissioner Neil Younger.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, order of business. We will have an executive session following agenda item number 8 for just about a brief 10 minutes. And we'll have 2 executive sessions at the end of the agenda. Anything else, Darren?
Yes, sir. If we could add an agenda item to number 11 or 12 for the Northwest Business Corridor Agreement.
Okay.
Either 10 or 11 or 12 is fine, whichever you feel is more appropriate.
Okay. Fellow commissioners, did you review the minutes?
I did. Everything looks good.
Any changes? Minutes stand as submitted. Do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
Sure, I'll move to approve the consent agenda, items A through G.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business. Come on up front.
Just for public comments?
Yes, sir.
My name's Dean Gutchock. I live at 1444 Ellis Avenue, south of Ellis. Was informed Friday night via your website that you are closing Ellis Avenue from Grants Villa south to the county line with the intentions of tearing up the asphalt and making it a rock road. Our county roads right now are in poor condition because of the weather. I think tearing up the asphalt, even though it's in bad shape, after being neglected for the last 8 years, hasn't been sealed. There's been no maintenance on them 5 miles, at least for the last 8 years. I drove it twice here since Friday. The first 2 miles south of the river are in need of some repair. After that, them other 3 miles, they're good miles. So I don't understand why the county is going to tear up 5 miles of blacktop and put in a rock road that is very dangerous to travel when it's cold and icy. It's like driving on black ice. And we've got numerous kids, students, drive that highway every day. And I think going to a county road is going to make it more dangerous for them traveling. Not only just, how long is this road going to be closed? They're going to have to detour 12, 13, 15 miles to get to school. Ellis County is very rich in oil. You get a lot of taxes from oil revenue. Ellis County's was the highest production in the state of Kansas. If we can't find it somewhere in our budget to maintain 5 miles of blacktop, we've got other problems.
To reduce that blacktop would cost us $6 million.
What's that?
Replace that blacktop would cost $6 million.
Okay,
That's not going to happen.
Do you have some bids for the public to see this?
Is Brandon here?
Because I made some phone calls to some companies that do that work. They didn't get back to me yet
About $1
today.
million a mile. There we go.
I find that very hard to believe when we've
Well-
got some of the finest equipment of any county in the state. We've got great employees that know how to run that equipment. I find it that hard to believe that it costs over $1 million a mile.
It does. I'm not lying to you. Brandon, step up here a minute. Now, I know we went, visited that road at least 2 years ago. Could have been a little more than that.
Yes, sir.
And at that time, it was told to me that you guys tried to do as much repair as you can on that. But basically, the road, the base is shot on it, you can't do much, nothing's going to hold. It's either going to be replace asphalt or put in rock road.
Yeah. So before my time, my predecessor and even his predecessor, at that point in time, all they had funding for was patching. And patching smooths out the ride, but it doesn't improve the base. So those first 2-3 miles, you've driven it, it's pushed, it's rutted, the base is gone underneath that roadway. So whether they go back with a rock road or asphalt road, the base still has to go down to the base, be rebuilt, and then brought back up. So the $6 million figure was figuring on not tearing out asphalt, but putting in new crushed rock, crushed concrete for a base, and then asphalt lift, a hot mix asphalt lift. That's where I came up with right about $1.13 million. So that doesn't include mobilization costs or costs to remove existing asphalt. Because you can't just keep throwing more on top of it. That's what they've done. And that's kind of where the issue we're in, we're pushing it, sliding. Yep, little bacteria and microorganisms that eat that asphalt oil. So underneath that top layer is just black sand. The aggregate's been wore down, and it's just sand underneath there. You can't get a solid core out of it to pull one out.
So how deep are you going down to get a base?
We're gonna go down to the earth. Down to the earth with, we're gonna mill it first with to break up the surface, and then we're gonna add rock into it and mix rock into it.
Okay,
Like
so
we've done on other
you-
roads.
You've got soft spots out there.
Yes, sir.
So when you're going down to that earth, if you're not digging down 4 or 5 feet and filling that with rock, you will never have a base. And you will never have a base turning it into a county road. That asphalt supports some of that. And now they've been dips, the rain we do get once in a while, it has no way to get off the blacktop.
Correct.
And it's made the situation worse.
Yes.
So until you dig down 4 or 5 foot and get a solid base, and it doesn't need to be the whole length of that highway, there's just certain areas.
Where the springs are at,
Right.
we'll have to dig down and potentially put geotextile matting down to get the water to go away from the road and shed it from the base. So we're accounting for
And that
that.
hasn't been done.
Because you have to remove the asphalt to get down to it.
Exactly. That hasn't been done. And like I said, we don't have to do the whole 5 miles that way. It's just where the springs are. And I don't see where we need to overlay the last 3 miles. The last 3 miles are in good shape.
And those ones won't be taken out at this point in time. It's going forward because the plan with the commission was back in '21 was to turn it all to a rock road because you wouldn't want to go asphalt, rock, asphalt again for the last 2 miles. Better to meet up with what's existing down in Rush County and take care of what we have.
So your intentions of right now is to start at Grants Villa
That's where the worst is.
and go how far south?
At least 1 mile, hopefully 2 miles.
And what kind of a time frame are we looking that being closed?
It all depends on how the material acts with us. I mean, that's why we're hoping for 2 miles, but if it's taking us 4 weeks to get 1 mile done, then we'll just do 1 mile this year.
During school session?
It's either school or it's harvest. There's no good time, unfortunately.
Well, we're gonna have harvest here shortly too.
Yes.
And I farm in Trigo County, right in the corner of the Four Corners, and I bring all my bushels to Ellis Golden Belt Co-op.
Yes, sir.
So I travel that road, and that's gonna make it very inconvenient, be shut down at this time.
Yes. Unfortunately, it's inconvenient. There's no good time. I mean,
I agree.
and road work is always inconvenient. I mean, unfortunately, it's the nature of the business. I gotta work where people want to travel their vehicles, and I can't have open traffic in certain conditions. Ideally, it'd be nice to keep one lane open, but on this project, we're gonna have to nurse from our little trucks to our big truck to apply water to the base, so that way we can get compaction out of it, doing it right. So it'll block up both lanes as we're going along.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's not road. It's one of the few sections of the road in this county where there's not a road every mile square. So that's why there is such a large detour. You either have to go 6 miles back to the west or 6 miles to the east, or you can go 3 miles to the east, then up and over, hit 180th and go up, and then hit the blacktop on Antonino and come back.
And them aren't the best of roads.
Neither is Ellis Avenue, the south 5 miles, though.
It's a lot better than. Yeah.
Well, I visited with some businesses in that city, and they've given me how much. JD Pump and Supply, as of today, from January 1st, has paid over $18,000 in sales tax to Ellis County. That's an oil field business. He drives that road 2-3 times a day. There's more business out of business that pays sales tax. I just think that there's a way to fund this and keep them 5 miles asphalt.
Dean, earlier this year, we had a bridge fail up on the Saline River. That bridge cost us $1 million to repair. Fortunately, we had money and some capital that we could replace that. It's the oil field what primarily used that bridge too. They were inconvenienced for a while.
Right.
It just goes with the territory. Just because some businesses pay a lot in taxes, don't mean that tax is not distributed throughout the county, and it is used for county operations, not just for roads. And we don't have it in the plan to spend $5 million for 5 miles of road out there in the south part of Ellis Avenue.
For a road that goes to nowhere, from what I've been told.
Well, it goes down to Rush County. But it's not I don't know if Brandon has the usage on that road, how many people go by there a day or are on there a day.
So KDOT has it posted at 180 vehicles per day down there. It goes up higher as you get closer to Ellis. We ran a traffic study in 2018 on that stretch of road. For 7.5 days, there were 702 vehicles. So just under about 100 vehicles a day on that stretch of road. And that was October 2nd to October 9th of 2018.
How would that compare to other roads that are more commonly used?
I mean, Old 40 near Hayes, you're at 1,700, 1,600. By Ellis, Old 40 is 1,250. Ellis Avenue going north of I-70 starts out about 600, and when you get close to the county line, it's up to 225, or it's down to 225. For some rock roads, Saline River Road right off 183, where that bridge failed on, that's 310 vehicles ADT.
What year was that?
2018. This one from KDOT's within the last 3 years, updated.
So during COVID?
No, before then. It would have been vehicle count before then.
Or out on from 500 to Grantsville?
Yes, that's the map that KDOT published.
And then
You
just,
got 200 on Antonino Road, right off 183. I mean,
So that's 100 lives a day using that road.
Mhm.
100 vehicles, more than 100 lives if they have passengers. I think it's well worth the money. Yes, it's an inconvenience, just like the bridge when it went out, but we found a way to pay for it. Whether it's through a grant, making an application for a grant, asking for some government, that's all we're asking.
Um,
And we're not asking for all the 5.
I just don't see it happening. You think we can just pull money out of our ass or something, and we don't have it to do that. That's just the way that is, Dean. I wish I could tell you something better, but I
Like I
just
said,
can't.
this has been in the works for a long time because that 5 mile stretch has had no maintenance, at least for the last 8 years. It's never been sealed. You guys have neglected it, and now it's turned it to a rock road.
Well, we have a lot of rock roads in the county,
And
and they are very sufficient. We have a lot of rock roads you can drive 60 mile an hour down them on without a problem.
have you been down the Buckeye Road lately?
I haven't
I'd like
been
to
down
give
the
you a ride
Buckeye-
in the winch truck
I haven't been down the Buckeye Road lately.
or the golf course road I just brought in right now. There's powder holes 8 to 10 inches deep on the Buckeye Road. Pulling a winch truck with a tank on top, it's not fun, but if you want to get a ride, I'll give you one.
Well,
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure they'll get repaired.
Hi,
hi,
my name's Ava North, 1135 Avenue E, McCracken, Kansas. I have 2 daughters that currently travel into Ellis for school. I have 4 daughters altogether, so 2 grew up going on the road. My oldest is 21. My oldest, the road was really pretty decent back then. I would say in the last 12 years, we've seen a decline. And it's just steadily gone downhill. And I agree, the neglect has been there for probably the last 5 to 8 years. It's not something that happened overnight. It was something that I asked a long time ago for us to start looking into. And I came to your past commission and spoke to some of them about it. I by no means want to see our road taken out. Couple of reasons. I have a 15-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old little girl who are still traveling in. Right now, when you guys shut this down, they have to drive for their safest route, okay? Trying to, if weather becomes inclement, they have to go clear to Brownell and drive clear to Ogalla to stay on a hard top road to get to school. Rush County, those 4 miles there next to my house, are some of the most treacherous miles. Cars slipping and sliding, you pray you don't meet another vehicle, and I have driven this for 20-some years now, since I've been with my husband. I asked my 15-year-old to drive that 4 miles, and I ask her every single day to be safe, to be careful, and I can't imagine having to then put on more miles of a rock road that has no ditches. There's no ditches in some of those hills. That is straight down. You know what's going to stop you when you get to the bottom? Fence posts. It's unsafe. I've been on that road when it was in its best time and drove in snow, barely going, and was whipped around and almost went down that thing. I had my own children and my husband's cousin's kids with us. We almost went a complete 360. It is not going to be better with a rock road. And I have been told for the last 3 years, oh, we'll maintain it, it'll be maintained, but I've been on Ellis County rock roads, and I'm not trying to pick a fight. I'm just saying, you can't tell me that they're that great when I've driven on them and they're not that great. And I get that you think that those 2 miles aren't that great or those 5 miles, but they are not that great. I get that, but it is better than trying to go through a sloppy, muddy mess to get your children to school, or ask your 15-year-old child who has her 6-year-old sister to travel on it. The other thing I have a problem with is that I found out last night. Last night I found out that this road is going to be closed indefinitely. There was no projection of date when it'll be open. And not only did I find out last night, but my bus had no idea. My district had no idea until I called them today and said, do you know that this is happening? Where are we going to pick up our kids? How am I going to get my children off the bus in the evening? We didn't even know. So I called Brendan. Brendan says, well, April. It was passed in April of 2021. It was published in the paper. The district should have been told. This is Ellis is an Ellis County School District. They should have been let known. You guys should have talked to the bus director and said, hey, this is what our plan is. Does it affect a route? What can we do? Because this is significant. This is putting our kids 45 to 47 minutes just traveling time. And that is with my daughter driving. When my little one comes home on the bus, that's not including all the stops that she's going to have to make along the way. I'm just saying, I agree with Dean. I think there's something we can do. We work in Hayes. At one point, our communities were much smaller, and they felt it be a need to put in an asphalt road for safety and to get us to where we need to be. And I feel like we're going backwards. How is it we've all grown and we're going to go back to sand instead of trying to progress forward and figure it out? And whoever said pulling it out of your ass, I'm not asking you to pull it out of your ass. I'm asking you to sit down and to look at the budget and figure it out, because I get that we don't live in the county, but man, we do everything in your county. My kids are in everything over here. I shop over here. I get my gas over here. I bring my crops over here. I do everything over in Ellis County. And I'm just asking for you, and along with every other business and everybody else that travels it, please, we just want a safe vein provided by the county. And we wouldn't be here fighting. We're not just being hard-headed and we just don't want a sand or a rock road. We want the safest route for our children to drive to school. We've seen unmaintained roads. We drive it the 4 miles in Rush County right now. We know what it looks like. We know how crazy it is. And that's got big old ditches in it. And I have come up upon accident after accident after accident over 22 years, almost 23 with my husband. But never on that Ellis County road, minus my daughter who fell asleep 3 years ago. That's the only time. But I'm just saying, in all seriousness, please reconsider. Give us time to figure out how to get our kids to school. We get that those 2 miles, and I don't agree that it's all the 5. I think that the latter of the 5 need to be looked at and probably sealed, but those 2 probably need to be cleaned up, and we need to take out areas and see if we can't build it back up from that base in certain stretches, even if it was a 1/4 of a mile. You know, bring it back up, build that base back up, get it to what it needs to be. I don't need a whole fancy new road. I just want something safe for me and my kids. That's all I'm asking. I'm just asking for my bus driver to get through. I'm hoping my kids come back. I'm hoping my kids send their kids. You know, that's all we're asking. So,
Commissioner Neal, do you have any comment?
Visiting with the bus barn, that can be pretty much taken care of. I mean, I guess my thing is always, I've been a commissioner almost 2 years now. I've asked the public to come to the meeting. Where were you guys all at? I mean, when this was all getting done.
we didn't know.
Okay.
Nobody told us. We didn't know. It wasn't, I found out last night that this was happening. There wasn't a big sign put out on Facebook that was shareable that said, hey, we're going to be doing this, and it's going to happen around this time. Come to our meeting and come talk to us about it. No, that was never said to us. I don't personally know who anybody is sitting up here. I may have seen some of you in passing. Maybe some of you know me through either my photography or my kids or whatever, but I don't know anybody who's sitting up here. And I certainly haven't seen anybody say anything. And when I have heard somebody say something 3 years ago, I called Mr. Hazelhorse and I spoke to him directly. And a week later, my daughter was in an accident and they discussed it. It's on YouTube. I watched the video. I did come forth. I did share on Facebook. They're sitting in the audience of people that I tagged and said, hey, they're going to take our road and they're going to mill it. Let's do something. And we all spoke up and we called and we talked. So we haven't not been in communication with but we also, we don't troll the Ellis County pages to find out what you guys are doing next. I mean, we just don't.
Commissioner Joe, do you have any comments?
Oh, quick question. Hey, how many miles of road do you have to maintain in the county roughly?
Sure.
Total road maintenance is just over 1,300, about 160 are hard surfaced at the moment.
So while it's unpleasant to hear, and your perspective very valid, you bring up many good points, so did the gentleman before you, it's still, when you look at what's our budget, roughly, total budget for next year?
29 million.
29 mil, and it's about $1 million a mile. So say 4 mil out of 30 mil, that's a big chunk. That's over 10% of our budget for a section of road that is one of the least used, least traveled sections in our county. Out of all of those miles of road, hang on, you're going to get your chance, sir. Again, I don't disagree with your perspective. It's just the harsh reality is we have so much money to spread over so many miles, and that's one of the lesser used roads compared to other roads. So as far as budget goes, we just don't have 10% or more to devote to one of the lesser traveled section of roads in our county.
Is it fair, though, that at this point, would you say that the numbers that were gathered and put together for your 1.1 million for 1 mile, is it fair to say that that is only a number that you have crunched and looked at and not actually gone out to fill out your local businesses to see and let them bid and get an idea of what they would ask?
I believe Public Works has a very good handle on what it costs to do roads, maintain roads.
So you don't think that it's in,
Even if it were half the 1.1, that's still almost 10% of our whole budget for the entire county, not just for roads and bridges, but for everything. That's a significant chunk of a budget.
Okay,
Again, I'm not disagreeing with
Right.
anything you've said. I'm just saying that's a large chunk of anybody's budget, be it a household or a body of government.
right. What about then also leaving us with 0 detour, not even 1 lane? I heard what he said about needing the water and whatnot, but is there absolutely no way to keep 1 lane going? Because, I mean, what you're asking is for our kids to go cross-country in some very treacherous areas that are, you know, deer-filled and not maintained as well, especially if we start looking at some weather. I'm just saying, is there no way, possibly, at all?
Possibly it could be considered, but it is a public safety issue when we have our crews out there working.
Well, put a stoplight out there, just like La Crosse has right now on their main street, that stops all the traffic, and only 1 lane can go until the light turns green for that side. I mean,
Brendan, do you want to comment on that?
So in regards to keeping 1 lane open, once we get started and we start tearing up that 1 lane, once we get to the next point, it's not going to be compacted for public travel. It's just going to be knocked down enough and bladed over enough that we can have a truck crawl along it about a half a mile an hour to nurse onto our big truck. We don't want to compact just one side and then have another big seam down the middle and compact the other side and basically have to undo work just to get back. The other fear is the speed of the public that's been traveling through there.
so how long do you think it'll take?
We'll be done within 1 month with what we're going to do to it. It may go faster. We're going to mill twice because we want to do it right,
You're doing 1 mile.
at least.
Okay, so if we do 1 mile a year, that's not $5 million, it's only $1 million. That's my point. We're not asking for it all to be done at once.
Mhm.
We need to build base first. You're gonna still have to build base, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then why can't we do that blacktop again? And you're not being fair when you're saying 1.1 million. You're still building base. You're building the base anyway. Correct?
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, sir. So the base is estimated at $40,000 in material for just the base material. The rest is the asphalt overlay.
When was the asphalt put in originally, do you know?
I do not know that date.
Our forefathers found money to do it because they knew it was a problem. There is 8 miles like each direction. That is a common thread through the hills. That's not, there's a lot of traffic. I got farm ground at the southern end, and when you're farming there, the amount of families that come through this, the amount of families that come by that road is
Thank you.
mind-boggling. And it's not just families. It's, like Dean said, it's oil companies, you know, and you guys don't always like to hear that because that tears up your roads, but it is revenue. But it's these families, these young kids. My kids are raised, I don't have to deal with it. But these kids elected to come to the Ellis School District when they're, and we need to take care of them. And I do not think it's fair. We're not asking if it had been maintained. The south 2 miles is not a wreck. It needs overlaid, yes. But it can go several years. We need to build them bases, which you're gonna have to do anyway. And I think anybody in this room that has a problem would be happy if you would do at least 1 mile a year, or skip a year and go, we don't have to do the 5 million all at once, or 6 million, or whatever. Give us $1 million or 2 a year. I think we could get our blacktop back that our forefathers put in, and it was needed. Them inclines, I don't know if you guys have been out there, there is some tremendous elevation. You're gonna be maintaining that a lot. You think you're gonna build a rock road and there's no maintenance and no expense? I'm sorry, you're gonna find out. But I think it's easier and cheaper to build it right, just like, you know, our ancestors did, and have a road through them hills. Because there's a bridge, it's 6-8 miles, easiest bridge to get back across the Smoky. So, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kaylin Petz, and I live a mile south of where you're wanting to start or end with the milling project. I want to start off with a question for each of you to answer. How many times have you personally traveled the 5 miles starting at Grantsville Road all the way through to the South County line on the Ellis Road? Have
I
you
don't
any-
travel that road.
You don't travel, but
Oh.
have you voted on this project and you've not been even out there to see it,
I've been out there a few times to observe the road.
to observe the road?
To observe the
Is this in the
road,
last
and-
year?
Yes, and we take the advice of our department heads. Brandon is very skilled with this issue.
I understand, okay? Yes, you will notice it's falling apart and needs a lot of maintenance. But any road that is traveled would need attention at one point. This leads to my next question. How much has been invested on the road in the last 10 years, even the 15 years? Patchwork with a trailer, asphalt and a torch, and a small section of overlay. I would call it neglect. So bad that you think the only answer is to tear up and place rock down. That does sound easier and cheaper from where you are sitting. People have told you it's not a road that's traveled much, not as much as other roads in the county. If I was making a decision on something, I'd like to hear the pros and cons. Maybe ask questions, maybe from people in the area that it would affect. Does anyone know how many miles east or west it is to get to the next through road while this road is being completed? Have any of you guys done research?
There will be an inconvenience.
Okay. It's in open range country. Why? Could it be because the area is rough and has many hills with high elevation? This road is the only road that goes through for miles. The next road is east to 180th, which is 6 miles, or west to 370th for 5 miles. This road brings in revenue. People are traveling to your county to spend their hard-earned money. My husband and I, we spend about 75% of our income in Ellis County. We send our children to Ellis School. I bus them on that road to get there and back because a bus does not get to be sent out, okay? For a handful of people, this road is an emergency route, especially when it's the only road you can travel in wet conditions. Businesses, taxpayers, school kids all use this road. If this road turns to rock, it will need to be maintained for safety of the drivers. We have side ditches that are 50 feet or more drop-offs. In fact, there are 5 drop-offs that are more than 50 feet in just the first mile, the north mile. Will there be guardrails in case of slide-offs? Signs warning drivers to stay right or dangerous hill. In the dry conditions, dust will be a problem. Visibility with traffic coming over the steep hills will be dangerous when it's nothing but powder. Big trucks and heavy equipment travel this road every day. After rains, will you send someone out to inspect the road? Make sure there are no areas that have washed out and away. You have a hard time maintaining the roads you have now. How will you add more work for your men? Safety should come way before the cost of the road. There is a reason why so many years ago they decided to pave it. Maybe you should look closer at the details. You have a full room of farmers stating their concern about this road to you, and that doesn't make you question yourself. They face challenges every day and have to have the knowledge of fixing things. Tackle the problem. Some problems cost more, but it's better than having a mess on your hands. When they say it's not a good idea, it means it's probably going to turn into more of a headache than just fixing it right in the first place. Remember your goal, because it's on your website. The Road and Bridge Division strives for efficiency and effectively maintain and improve Ellis County roads, bridges, signing, drainage in order to provide quality transportation and public safety to county residents. Safety should be your #1 priority, not money. This road will be far too dangerous if the asphalt is torn up and the rock is laid down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any last comments before we move on to the next agenda item?
Other than making sure everybody's gotten a chance, there's a lady
There's a
over
lot
there.
of people back here that need to
Well,
have
we're
their
not going to
voice.
hear from everybody because you're all saying the same thing. We don't need to be redundant. You're not even on the agenda.
I am on the agenda. I am Kaylin Petz, and I did call in
This is from
to be on the
issues not on the
agenda.
order of business. So, we're not going to hear from everybody. I'm not going to allow that to happen. We're going to wrap this up in the next couple minutes. Commissioners, do you have any comments?
So you're for the people, right? Is that right? For the people?
I'm for Ellis County to do what's right.
And that's
What I'm trying
right.
to do. You and I can have a difference of opinion. That's okay. We had a gentleman standing right where you are last week telling us that we need to be much more judicious with our tax dollars. He don't want us to waste them. He went on and on
Oh,
about
but this is
that.
wasting. I am standing up
Sure.
for my family and my friends that travel
sure.
that road every day, and I will not see a death just because you want to wipe it clear because you
I'm
didn't do your
sure-
research.
I'm sure there are a lot of people who would tell me they don't want to spend one more dollar on a road. So it's just a matter of opinion, and that's just what it is.
Then leave the road. Potholes are fine.
Commissioner Neal, do you have any comments?
That's pretty bad when we're saying leave it versus fix it. That says something.
Commissioner Neal, any
You want to save
comments?
money, listen to us. Leave it, put a few patches like you have, and we're fine with it. If you really want to
We're not
save
taking
money,
any more comments
that's because you just want your way, and that's it.
because we're going to move on with our agenda.
You just want your way, just bully.
We're not taking any more comments.
Can I speak? I'm the superintendent of Ellis.
We heard about the school issue already.
Okay, so
We're going to wrap this up.
Not important.
so you're not going to allow me to speak?
No. Commissioner Neal, do you have any comments before we wrap this up?
Maybe we just table this and,
We are asking that, yeah, we're asking to table and to make sure that we're looking at all aspects of this issue.
I think it's been considered.
Okay, well, I think because the people today have spoken, I think it's important to listen to what it is that needs to be done at this point. I am a superintendent of Ellis. I'm brand new this year. I did grow up in this area, and so I understand the county roads, and I totally understand budget for sure. We have great families. When McCracken closed 40 years ago, that was a time when families chose to be in Ellis, and part of being in Ellis was a sacrifice for them, and it's continued with the generational piece where we have kids of those kids. It is, you know, I traveled that road today, I'm going to be honest, because I had families come in very, very upset, and they are just wanting to voice their concern. And as a superintendent, you know, my first priority, number one, is safety and, you know, the financial piece. So this is why I understand what you're saying about budget. However, schools and our kids are our number one reason that we do what we do. We have 7 students right now that attend, and we have a few staff members that attend from that area. And we have lots of people that come and work in Ellis for businesses, which supports our community, like we support the Hayes community as well. My concerns first and foremost are the safety. When I drove there today, when I hit the dirt chalk road, there were 3 semis. I feared for my life. I had to pull off the road because I could not see in front of me, behind me, beside me, and I had 3 semis coming at me. So as a very, you know, I'm a veteran driver, driving for a long time. I do worry about our youth in driving these roads, and we have kids that are driving from a community down this asphalt road, which is fantastic because it's there. For them to get off of that road concerns me greatly. So the young drivers who also travel at night for sports, school activities, etc., you know, bad weather, bad roads, those roads get so bad out there. And, you know, my concern is somebody goes off the road, and what happens when that happens? Kids get hurt, and then who's responsible for that, and who feels the pain and the suffering and the guilt of that? The financial impact on families in our district. I mean, We figured out the mileage today, that if they would stay on the asphalt going west, it would be 50 miles to get to school. If they go east, it's going to be 37 miles to get to school, to stay on a safe road to get them to a place of learning. Our school district, 7 students is a financial impact for a small district. We have 333 students. If we take 7 students out because they choose to attend lacrosse or another school around them, that is a huge financial impact for us, a small community where we band together and work together. So I love my community. Our people love our community, just like it's Grow Ellis. And we have to look at it that way, where it's other places besides the places that are here. And Ellis is a great place. It could be a great road. And all I'm asking is that we pause and we look at ways to support and not take away that asphalt, because it does matter for this community. And thank you very much.
Your comments are noted. Okay, Commissioners, any last comments?
I have none.
Commissioner Joe?
Nothing different than what I said earlier.
Okay, then we're going to move on to our next agenda item. Did you guys get a chance to review the monthly department report?
Yes.
Yes.
Any concerns?
No, it
Nope.
looked good.
Okay. The MIH grant resolution and supporting documents. Michael?
Come on up, Mike.
Mike?
Yes. Any questions on any of that?
I have no questions.
I have none either.
No, sir, it looks like you addressed everything that we visited about at the previous meeting,
Okay.
so thank you for that.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion for this?
Yeah, sure. I'll, well, let me scroll down to make sure I word it right. Oh, goodness, let me scroll past all the monthly reports.
It's on page 41.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I thought I was in the right spot. So, I move to approve Resolution 22, TAC 12 for the MIH grant and to sign the attached agreements in support of the project.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Mike, thanks for doing that.
Okay. Thank you very much.
I'll get them signed. Bobby will get them to me, and then I'll contact you tomorrow and get them to you.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next agenda item is a 601 Main Street discussion with Cottonwood Extension District.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Hi.
My name's Donna Krug, and I am the District Director for the Cottonwood Extension District. Before I have a couple introductions I want to make. First of all, I'm introducing a new employee of ours, a new team member, and that's Monique Kerner. Go ahead and stand up, Monique. Monique is our family and community wellness educator here in our district, and she's hit the ground running. Her first day was July 25th. Also with me tonight, Stacy Campbell, who's our agriculture natural resource agent, Tatum Kimsey, and Alan Roth are two of our board members. They also wanted to be present tonight.
Okay.
First, I guess I want to say thank you for allowing us to be in the 601 main building. It serves our needs well, and I think you know too, you use it a lot too for meetings, I know for voting and for storage and for meetings and things like that. However, I know from visiting with Darren and Bill that you're wanting to make a change here and move that building away from your ownership, or at least away from your constant need of taking care of it. So I guess what I have provided for Darren and Mr. Jeter are would be the occupancy agreement that we used for the facility in Barton County when we were located in a county space. And so is that what we're seeing up here on the board, or I don't know. There's a few things, though, that I wanted to just that are going to seem different about this, especially because, again, you would rather not own the facility. And one of the concerns I have is the insurance. Right now, we use K-Camp insurance, and I think your buildings are also use the county pool. But because we are located in a building that we don't own, we just have liability insurance right now. And so, just like, I'm thinking what would happen if a hailstorm ruined a roof or something, and I just need to know, part of that occupancy agreement would be, we would want to know who is going to be responsible for fixing something like that. I know the HVAC, heating and air conditioning, is pretty aged, and so again, that would be a question that we have right now about that.
Darren, how would you answer that?
Donna's correct. I think there's 4 or 5 HVAC units, the residential HVAC units in the building.
But the county wouldn't anticipate service and repair on the HVAC units. Is that correct?
That's one of the ideas that we had as part of this concept, is instead of charging or doing anything with rent, that could be a capital outlay project that they could potentially, if they would agree upon, instead of paying rent in lieu of that several years, they could replace the unit when necessary, or when needed, I guess.
So, I think those things need to be spelled out, obviously. I think right now, the agreement is pretty similar to what we used in Barton County. One of the other considerations, obviously, like utilities right now are being taken care of by the county, and we understand that that would become our, and I feel like our budget for the coming year, if this would start, sometime in 2023, can handle that amount. Janitorial services would be another area that would need to be taken care of. And again, if that becomes ours, then, I guess just open communication to know what your responsibility would be and what ours. Was it 2 years ago when our building was backed into? And so that ended up being quite a large amount, a fairly large claim, but it went through the K-Camp that you all have because you had the building insured. So I guess I need to know, if I need to add more insurance to what we have, or
From my understanding, as I talked with Darren about this, you currently are in a building that you pay no rent for.
That's
and you
correct.
are responsible for nothing. And what we're looking at doing here with the county is allowing you to continue to be in the building rent-free.
Okay.
But you're going to start incurring the expenses associated with the building, which would include insurance and whatever else you might have to do to that building. So is that correct understanding, Darren?
Correct, and that's why we're here asked Donna to be here, just to start those conversations. just to
Right,
see
this
what
is
it
kind
would
of our
come out
first
to.
conversation, and so again, with Tatum is our treasurer, and Alan is our vice chair of our district, and our board meets tomorrow evening, so we can visit with them. It's not my decision, it would be our board's decision
Right.
to, make that, to sign that agreement. So yeah, some more study session or another meeting with you to kind of iron
Absolutely.
that out.
Yeah, we'll try to answer any questions you guys have about this
Okay.
this issue. So,
All right.
does anyone else want to ask a question or speak about it?
Either Tatum or Alan have anything to add? I don't know.
Another option I did discuss with Mrs. Krug is the possibility on the north half of that building where the health department used to be, is currently it's pretty much vacant, probably
Yeah.
just storage.
Some
but
storage, yeah.
That might be, we can't lease it or rent it out. If we do, and Mr. Jeter's checked onto it, we end up having to start having a bigger budget impact because we're going to have to start paying property taxes on the facility. However, it's something to maybe consider if we entered into an occupancy agreement with the extension district. We still would have to pay taxes, but if they would sublet it out, I don't know if that would encounter us, but that might be a revenue source for them as well, to be able to pay for some of that. And rental space, commercial rental space in the city is pretty hard to get by, and if you do
I
find
know,
something, it's
I know.
expensive.
So
Okay?
I appreciate your keeping the open line of communication with us, and we'll be
Well,
in touch then.
absolutely. Yeah, we'd like to work something out with you.
Because that, the bonds that will pay this off are right at the end of the year, is that correct? Right, or right in
The-
January, or?
There's springtime, I think
Spring?
they're
Okay.
due in March of '23,
Okay, oh,
however.
March of '23.
After the first of the year, we would be able to pay those off, and
Okay.
that was that wouldn't dictate what we would have to do for the agreement. That would just be if we were looking at maybe selling the property
I
or doing
see.
something different.
Okay.
Because it's still
But
under the bond. and
If the
we couldn't do it.
lease happened, would that start at the beginning of the year?
I think we
Us
could do
taking
that
over?
whenever
I
it
guess
would
that
be
would
best for both
be
parties.
what my board would want to know.
That's what I was
So,
coming up here to ask, was
yeah.
just timeline as far as what we're looking at here. What are we looking at for timeline and things like that? Are we in a rush, or are we?
I haven't heard we're in a rush about it.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
And
I
just
think-
as long as you guys feel comfortable, if it does come to the decision of renting the other part out, just so you feel comfortable with that.
Yeah, I don't know for sure right now how that might look,
Okay.
who that might be, but it's possible, I guess.
are you, when you say renting it out, are you talking about us renting it out, or you folks renting it out?
think Darren's
You're
saying
talking us having the
we would.
option to rent it out if we
Yes.
wanted
It's
to.
That's something that we had thought up. I don't know if that would fall under the taxing purposes for us having to then pay property tax if it was sublet under the Cottonwood Extension District.
Yeah.
But it's just
Okay.
another idea to help offset expenses and get used to the space. As you know, if you don't use a space, it deteriorates quicker, then you have
Sure.
more problems quicker.
Yep.
Okay.
Nope, that was my only question, was just timeline,
Timeline.
and we'll take it back to the board and discuss it, and, yeah, let us know if you guys want to get together sometime and we can iron out more things or whatever, and so.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, our next agenda item is an ambulance purchase. Danita?
Danita Schrader, Director, Ellis County EMS. I'm here tonight to ask for approval for the purchase of a 2023 ARV ambulance. So I'm asking early because due to all of the problems with getting chassis and everything for the ambulance, I went ahead and started the bid process early. This isn't set to be purchased till next year, but with the current delay in delivery from like 1.5 to 2 years currently, we thought it'd be best to start it now so we can try to obtain a chassis so we can go ahead and have an ambulance on time for delivery. Typically, we try to replace our ambulances about every 9 or 10 years, hopefully before they reach 200,000 miles. We've just found that that's kind of the spot where they start needing more repairs and they start to cost more than what they're worth. So that's generally what our timeline is. I'm looking to replace, we have a 2014 remount. Currently, it has 160,000 miles on it, but over the next 1.5 to 2 years, we'll probably put 30 more thousand on, which will get us right up there to our 200,000 miles. I did send out requests for proposals to the 4 nearest companies to us in case we would need to go for repairs or have them come here. And I received 1 bid back, and one of them sent that they did not want to bid, and the other 2 sent nothing at all. So I've heard through a lot of the other services around that there's a lot of them that aren't taking orders right now due to the chassis problem. And there are also some of them that are fulfilling the higher amount bids that they've recently gotten, and they're taking the little ones and shoving them to the back. So I've been assured by ARV that they do not do that. They take it in the order that it comes and leave you in line with when you ordered it. Also with this, and I believe we talked about this with our budget, I've put in for a new power load system for the cots as well, and then a new cot and a new stair chair. Our power loads and our cots are coming up on 8 to 9 years old as well, and their life expectancy is about 10 years old. We are starting to have some problems with some of those, so hopefully by getting a new cot with each ambulance, we'll get those problems taken care of. Do you have any questions?
But what are you going to do with the old ambulance? Is that a trade-in?
So the old ambulance, we have found actually the last one we did, we put on Purple Wave, and we received a lot more money for that than a trade-in. So I believe that would be the best route for us to go, was to put it on Purple Wave again.
Have you noticed, is the price of ambulances higher?
Yes, they are. I visited with the representative about that, and they are higher. They're even higher since December of last year. They've gone up quite a bit, and that's due to the steel and the aluminum. Prices have been, aluminum was up 67%, the steel went up 205% just in the last 2 years. So that as well has increased the price in those. And the representative stated that he doesn't see them coming down anytime soon, but he hopes to see that leveling off at least for now.
Now, there is enough capital in your CIP fund to take care of this?
Yes, there is.
And is that fund going to be stable for future ambulance purchases, given the price of this one?
I hope so.
Okay.
But that's, that's something we'll have to look at again. If the prices go up again, then our plans may have to change on some of the future purchases.
Okay. Commissioner Joe, do you have any questions?
No, first off, it's needed, obviously. I mean, we can't be down an ambulance, and it's planned and budgeted for, so I have no problems.
Okay. Commissioner Neal?
I did see on page 57, you struck out the aluminum wheels, which saved quite a bit.
Yeah.
What is the Stryker Pro 2? What is,
One of
Did you
those
stroke that out?
is, let me look here. So the Stryker Pro XT is the power cot itself, and then he also put the Power Pro 2 in there that I struck out.
Okay.
And that's just a bigger, more advanced cot that we don't see that we need.
Can get by.
We like the general one, yeah.
all right, thank you.
Okay. Is there a motion for this, Commissioners?
Sure. I'll, excuse me. I'll move to approve PO number 7683 for ordering and purchase of a 2023 ARV Trauma Hawk X Series ambulance for the total cost of $365,380.79.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And I will make a motion to go into executive session for 10 minutes for security measures. And if those in attendance will be Mike Liker, Darren Myers, and Bill Jeter.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0. So we will go to executive session. down here where I need to be. Okay, our next agenda item is the multi-factor authentication implementation. Mike?
Mike Leiker, Ellis County IT Director. I'm just here to ask that you approve the purchase order to ITC
Okay.
for
and,
$57,025.87.
Right, and this will be paid, the Register of Deeds Technology Fund is going to be paying for this subscription. It's a
That's correct.
three-year subscription. Okay, Commissioners, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, I move to approve purchase order number 7682 to IT1 in the amount of $57,025.87.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, the next is the Public Works Facility Design. Darren?
Good evening, Commissioners. Darren Myers, County Administrator. Before you tonight is an option to go ahead and start proceeding with the design and development of the new Public Works facility just north of Hayes. Over the last year, the county has purchased the land on 250th Avenue, just north of Midwestern Pipe Works. Since then, we've closed on the property and went out for bid for a professional designer to do a space needs assessment, to look at all the equipment, the proper sizes of the facility that we would need, and do a site layout of the yard to give us an estimate on what size of building, as well as budget estimates. Before you tonight, and we have the proposal for you to consider in the lowest, not necessarily the lowest bid. We went out for a request for proposals based on qualifications, and we put that on our website and sent it out to over a dozen different design firms. We received 6 back of those proposals that we'd sent out, and we had 4 staff sit down and grade the criteria that was laid out within the proposal. The best bid, it's always nice, but the best bid was the low bid, which is always good. The firm that was selected by the staff was GLMV Architecture. Their main office, or their office here in Kansas, is down in Wichita. And Mr. Wyford, Jeff Wyford, is here tonight. If he wanted to come up and maybe speak to the commission, but he's their principal in charge that has been identified for this project, so I'll just turn it over to him real quickly before I continue.
Okay.
Good evening, Commissioners, Administrators, and staff. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. We're excited for this project. This is a project type that we feel very comfortable in. We've done close to 30 public works and maintenance facilities over the last 15 years, and look forward to working with you.
Okay, good. Any questions, Commissioner?
No, I appreciate you coming in person to visit with us.
My pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
So just moving on with the proposal, we asked for a cost proposal for 2 phases. And we actually took Jeff out this afternoon, right before the meeting, just to kind of show him the site layout and some of the design concept of how things may be laid out in regards to the topography. So that way they can get a better grasp day one of what they're actually working with. But phase 1 of the project was basically for them to do a space needs analysis, look at all our equipment, the sizes, so that way they knew how big, how deep, how wide for the bays for the shop office, look at the offices that are actually needed for staff for training, storm shelter, code requirements, et cetera, and put us together a site layout and kind of a conceptual design of how big of a building we would need for the facility, which would include noxious weed and a small cold storage building. After that would be done, they would give us a budget estimate, which they have in-house estimators within their firm. And then we would then essentially bring that back to the commission, and the commission would be more than welcome to attend any of the meetings that they're going to have with staff. But at the conclusion of phase one would come up with a conceptual design and a cost estimate for construction to bring back to the commission for approval to go out to bid. We're looking at a time frame, if all goes well, December. And with approval, it would go out for a typical bidding cycle, about 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay,
To come back in late January, maybe into February, depending on, you know, how smoothly it all goes, to come back to award a bid of construction. And the proposal that they have, based on the type of a building, you know, a prefab metal building, hopefully by the end of 2023, we could have building construction, but that very highly depends on supply chain disruptions or anything that we may have with that. So that's kind of the phase one for you is for tonight for approval. The PO in your packet is for $18,000. That covers the complete phase one of the staff meetings, site layout, conceptual design, and budget estimations to be able to go out for bid. And then we would come back and re-entertain moving forward with them based on what is followed up at that time to be able to move into phase two if the commission proceeds. And one thing that we'll mention at that point is due to the time frame of the bids coming back, that'll be something that we'll need to discuss with our current commission, but also out of respect for the new commissioners coming on board to see if they want to be involved in the option or the process to be able to at least share information with them so that way as this project moves forward, that they're not coming in brand new to the commission in January, not seeing or knowing any of this project.
sure, absolutely. Commissioner, any questions for Darren?
No questions, just that I very much agree with making sure that as the two new commissioners join the commission that, you know, we're able to kind of share information in such a way where they hit the ground running. It's better for the public. It serves their needs more so.
Definitely help with the transition.
Yeah, definitely.
Commissioner Neal, any questions?
So on your little tour today, what did you think of our property? Is it doable?
Absolutely, it's doable. There's quite a bit of topography, and then we'll take a look at that.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion for this?
I'll move to approve PO 7684 to GLMV Architect and direct the county administrator to sign the agreement.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll call you tomorrow.
All the way to the bottom. This is a long contract here.
Refresh this. It's almost like it's blank in the middle.
Okay, and then the next business item is the Northwest Business Corridor update. Darren?
Yes, sir. So as the commission is aware, we're progressing through the Northwest Business Corridor project up north. Brendan and I was actually able to drive up there this morning, take some pictures, and look at the progress. Basically, the curve that starts half mile south of 230th and Feedlot, which ends up about 240th and Feedlot, has been constructed. And I believe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week is their intention to pour from 240th over to 183, so about another mile of road. And I believe, well, when we were out there as well, APAC had delivered their some of their asphalt laying equipment to start paving in the connector from the feedlot into the curve of the new concrete. So they're progressing out there. As the commission is aware, the agreement to the contract has changed. The federal government has changed their cost share agreement with it. And with those new dollars added to the project, basically they just need to have us update the contract to allocate those new dollars. The state dollars stayed the same with the project as well. So before you tonight, we didn't have the actual contract available by the time we got the agenda ready by last Wednesday. We got it, I believe, late Friday afternoon. Was able to share it with Mr. Jeter over the weekend and today to be able to visit with him. But that's why it's not a part of the agreement. It is time sensitive. I believe it has to be back to the Federal Highway Administration, but it also has to go through KDOT by the end of September. Have all the signatures done and sent to them by the end of the month. So either we pushed it on tonight, or we would have had to have a special meeting at a different day to have it approved. So with that, I guess I can stand for any questions, or if Brendan needs to clarify anything, he's here as well.
Now, I think you mentioned a week or two ago that they're behind schedule with this project too?
Correct. I'm not sure what the actual amount of days, but they are, I'll let Brendan explain.
So they've made some changes to their plans to account. It appears they are a bit behind schedule. Couldn't tell you how far behind because of the changes to their plans. They're going to be putting a shoe fly in on 2/30th, so that way Clavers, who's the contractor doing all the culvert and box work, can pour one here this year, still in case it does roll into next year's construction season. I'm hoping that they get it done in this construction season, but I'm being prepared for it not to be if that's the case. But it'll set them up so that way when the season opens back up, if they have to run into next season, that road will be ready to be paved.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding the project?
No, except for with them changing the project, does that exempt them from the fines associated with lateness, or they still have to eat that?
No, sir, it does not change the project completion date.
Okay.
It's just they changed out or updated their schedule of events to us. So they've made some changes when they run into things. They found that underground utility box from AT&T that wasn't expected, so that there's going to be days added back in for discovering that and having to excavate and go back with a flowable fill for there. They're currently discussing changing the turning lane that's going to be added to 183. It's planned for asphalt. APAC was out there. They've looked at it, KDOT, and the main prime contractor think that concrete would be better suited to the area. So we've got a meeting Wednesday at 10 o'clock where I'm sure that's going to be discussed in more detail.
Okay.
But APAC is on site today and tomorrow, hopefully to pave that connector.
That's all I had.
Commissioner Neal?
Just an update from you on the Victoria project, how that's coming along, the Cathedral one. Do you have that?
Geez, I drive that every day. I could
Is
have
it,
told you.
is it done now?
No, it's not done.
Okay,
It's
I was
not
gonna say,
completed yet.
I would like to
They're
have an
excavating the
update.
last section of it. They're on the phase 3 of the project, excavating what is going to be the southbound lanes and parking lanes
Okay,
from 13th Street down to 10th Street. They've got almost down to 10th Street. The asphalt removed, and they're working on grade work. I didn't get a chance to run out there today. Had a few phone calls, if you couldn't tell.
The
Okay.
part-
Been a little busy.
The part of it that is open the drive, as they've done that in different sections, though, it's just an incredible difference. They've done really good work.
It's everyone I've talked to has been happy with it. It does look steep but the grade is less severe than it was before. It's just you got sharp corners with concrete, whereas you had the smooth pillow of an asphalt kind of bending over the top of it. But so far, everyone that's called our office or I've met out on site has been happy to see it done.
okay. I hadn't been over there for a couple of weeks, so just wondering. Okay,
Okay, is there anything else, Darren?
Just for the agreement, I think it'd be most prudent to have the commission make a motion to approve the updated agreement for the Northwest Business Corridor project.
Updated agreement to who?
It's for the Northwest Business Corridor project with KDOT and the Federal Highway Administration.
KDOT? Federal Highway. Okay, I would make a motion for the county commission to update the agreement for the Northwest Business Corridor project for KDOT and the Federal Highway Commission.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brennan.
Okay, our next agenda item is the County Commission meetings. Darren?
This next topic of discussion is to look at or consideration of changing the times and dates that we have the Ellis County Commission meetings. As of now, the meetings are, as all of you know, the first 3 Mondays of the month at 5 p.m. That has been that way for at least 7 to 8 years. Previous to that, they were on Mondays starting at either 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and lasted several hours throughout the day. And looking at some different options, and I believe our county clerk had kind of initiated this over the last couple of weeks, visiting with staff, visiting with some members that regularly attend the meetings. A different time and day was considered for different reasons, which were all listed in the agenda packet. But some of them would be, as Commissioner LaRue pointed out, at the end of these meetings, for instance, tonight, I know the commissioners sometimes like to attend the Ellis and the Victoria meetings. However, you're sometimes either late or rushed or can't get there at all, which allow you to attend their meetings. Our overtime cost for the county would be reduced. It's not a big budget number, but each night that we do have a commission meeting after 5 p.m., IT has to have staff here to record and to be able to produce the recordings of it, as well as the sheriff's office. And then if we ever have staff that have to present that aren't department heads, or when we bring in employees, whether new employees, or we're celebrating the success of a promotion of an employee, it's sometimes hard to get them in because it's big in employment today is your work-life balance. And when 5 o'clock hits, they're ready to go home. They got kids to take care of, supper to feed, sports to go to. So it'll be easier to get more staff here. In talking with the executive team, they've also said that they would be more likely to attend a meeting based on it being during the day and not only just when they have something on the agenda. And as the commission is well aware, normally most of the people that come and present to the commission are usually there to represent their business or their organization, which normal business hours are 8 to 5. And that would also release some of their, nighttime hours to be able to not have to go to a commission meeting. I did contact Nathan Liker and Michael Burgess as the 2 incoming commissioners just to see if they would be open to this change, so that way there was no need to change it now for 2-3 months and then come January, February, change it again. They were both open to this date and time. And I was actually kind of surprised when speaking to Mr. Burgess with his job. He actually goes around, I think he said 17 counties that he works with. He said that all those counties have daytime commission meetings, which I would have guessed some, but not all of them or most of them. So that was kind of surprising. So with all that, with all the pros and not really seeing a lot of cons, we spoke to the county clerk in regards to our voucher schedule, because our meetings coincide with our voucher schedule. So that way the commission can see, view, and sign off on the expenditures, that we would adapt those and the check printing dates and everything that would change it by moving it from a Monday night to a Tuesday morning. So with all that information, we'll sit for any questions.
Okay. Commissioner Neal, do you have any questions or comments?
Just a comment. I'm glad the other commissioners agreed to a Tuesday, because Mondays I have a meeting every second Monday, so that's going to work out good to Tuesday, so I appreciate that.
Commissioner Joe?
Yeah, it's going to get us better attendance from county employees. It's going to give us the same openness that we currently have for outside county employees to attend the meetings, and it's going to free us up in the evening so we can attend other commission meetings and community events in the area. So I think this is a good move.
Okay. Do I hear a motion for that?
I'll move to approve Resolution 22-13, changing the dates and the time of the Ellis County Commission meeting.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 3-0.
In just in case the commission is wondering, with the approval, I'll work with Carissa and we'll make several public service announcements over the coming weeks to do our best to notify the public, make sure Hayes Post is aware, and we'll put it on social media as well, and change it on our website to capture as many as we can of the change. And those will take place the first meeting in October, so instead of having our meeting October 3rd, which is a Monday, it'll be Tuesday, October the 4th.
Okay.
Okay.
County Administrator report, Darren.
I have nothing else tonight, thank you.
Okay, County Commission reports, Neil.
Yes, I did attend the Shinshin city meeting, and then last week, Brandon, myself, and Kurt attended the Northwest Kansas Commission Highway officials meeting, so it was very interesting. But it's my report.
Okay, Commissioner Joe.
Since our last meeting, I attended a chief executive board session with the Kansas Workforce One State Board.
Okay,
That's all I have.
I have no report.
I do have one thing. I know the people are waiting patiently out there to see what the results are, if we're going to table it, if we're going to do something with the Ellis Avenue. So are we going to go into another meeting? And if we're going to, I hate to call it that, Band-Aid that road for now. Also, I don't know when a good time's going to be to tear that road apart. No matter what we do, we're going to obstruct traffic. So getting to and from, and especially with harvest, wheat planting time, do we prolong it?
Well, I heard some people in the audience say we should just do nothing and let it go. It's their road if that's what they want.
What are your guys' feelings out there on that, Dean?
Brendan, come on up here.
What I think the majority of us are asking, do small sections at a time, keep it open. I would donate the rock for the base out of my own rock pit. I will donate the rock, get a base under it, relay patches of asphalt. I think that road could be saved, honestly.
What's your comments about that, Brendan?
I guess give us some figures on money, time.
The base is the least expensive part of the entire
Right.
equation.
Right.
So, using current estimates, same number the city of Hayes used for hot mix asphalt, it's $400 a ton. For a 2-inch base, which is small, I'd like to see it more substantial, but it will work. That's $633,000 per mile for an 1.5-inch driving surface, the asphalt surface. So you got a total of 3.5 inches there. You're at $475,000 per mile. We're looking at under $50,000 for the base per mile. The base is not the expensive part, it's the asphalt, unfortunately.
I guess listening to all the, people that are here, they're just wanting to, right now, patch the holes, is that correct, until we can get something else?
I think we need to wait for sure, but we need to pull out the park.
Right.
I mean, I got trucks that come from the south, pulling grain to our elevator in Ellis, and it's gonna be
Brendan, can we patch the holes and wait?
We can patch the holes, but they're gonna reappear in
They're gonna
short order.
reappear.
There's
just-
nothing supporting it. So we don't have a lot of that material left. We'll probably have to purchase some,
Okay,
but it's not gonna last
No,
a year.
it won't last.
That I would relay, last time asphalt was laid on it's been over 30 years since that highway had any maintenance done to it.
86 when it had a complete overlay from the bridge to the curb. Now, there is 4 or 5 really bad pockets. Can't we excavate them and put rock in them? You're saying it isn't gonna hold. Most of that road is not that bad. I agree, there's some that you don't wanna take a double tiered load of bales on. But they're from me to you. We can, and they're a half a lane. So can't we dig that out, patch a rock? I got a rock area down there too. If you need rock, just right off the curb, we'll get you rock. That's not an issue. And I know it's not the expensive part, but you see them excavate, we have to get a base in them spots, yes. It's not just gonna do any good to put asphalt back in that spot, you gotta build a base. But we're not talking a base for a mile. We're asking to patch them areas decently, not just having, like one of the gals said, a trailer with a little hot mix, and they missed 3 of them, they patch 1. That's what's been happening. I don't know who's in charge of watching them, but they don't, I mean, we could do, a couple of us guys could probably do more with that same trailer in 2 days than they do in a week. So that's where we're frustrated because there has been no maintenance.
What's your idea about his comments, Brendan?
Now, did these holes appear after our 2? Well, I know it did because when I
They
took
were
the
there
first.
before I started.
Yes, because it had to happen when we had them 2 years of deluge rains.
I can tell you it hasn't gotten better
And
since
it
it
has not gotten
started.
better.
But the commission had made the decision at that point in time that we're going to be tearing it out. So we did not do any patching on it these last 2 years that I've been here. I can't speak for before, the who, what, where, why, and when. I know there have been budget cuts. We've got about 160 hard surface roads, miles of hard surface roads. For chip sealing, is done about every 3 years in order to preserve the pavement underneath from oxidizing, from material loss, from that bacteria that's eating away the oil. So we really should be doing closer to 50 miles a year of sealing activities. We did 22 or 24 this year. Previous year we did 36. So we're behind the 8 ball. And looking back at records, they've been like that for a while. There wasn't, the push for the, didn't seem like it was there to support the miles of hard surface roads that this county has. It wasn't funded. The increased funding will help, but some parts are just too far gone. If we're going to keep every road open, some restrictions or reductions in service have to be there, whether it goes from a hard surface road to a rock road that's maintained, or whether roads and bridges are closed in the future. I know before my time here, that bridge east of Ellis was closed due to lack of use and for funding. It was a fracture critical. It was 105 years old when it was closed.
Okay.
Brendan, the gentleman said just do these small areas. Is that a viable
Where do we stop?
situation? What's that?
I mean, where do we stop?
Well, he said there's 4 or 5 out there.
I think there's more. There's more than that I would recommend. You've got a good 300 feet where when we were out there, was that a month ago when I brought you out there with Kurt and myself?
Yes.
Where it's sloughed off. I mean, that's going to be a considerable amount of rock and then asphalt, and we don't have that much on hand.
We're asking to make an effort to do the first 4 or 5 that I asked, or the bad ones. I drive it regularly.
But
And with loads.
And understand that, and you just, before that said that they would skip potholes and only do one. I don't
These
want
are
you to accuse me of the
potholes.
same.
I'm talking about the spots that are mashed in, that you're talking about that are springs.
Yes.
We dig these down, we put rock in them. We do 5 of them. And then we do some patchwork. You're gonna make a hell of a difference in a short time.
And you said
And we're gonna salvage our road.
you said that the asphalt wasn't, right now you didn't have enough of it, or can we get it? Is it available?
Nothing's ever impossible. I'm sure we could talk with APAC or another supplier to see if they have any oil left over, if they can make some up before the end of the year.
Okay. I know I received a couple of phone calls today, and it kind of hit me on the wrong side, because one individual said, well, we just tear it up from the Rush County line to South End Ellis. So I didn't appreciate that very much. But I'm trying to work with everybody to, and what if we cannot get asphalt? Are we just going to leave rock in there for now? Because we got to build a base. And when we dig that up, who knows what's down there? It may still be wet. That's time to tell.
Yeah, and in those spring years, we will excavate down, put down that geotextile like we did on feedlot
Right.
last year.
When
Where we had
were
those
you
springs.
going to start on this, Brendan?
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
That's why we put the notice out Friday, just so in
Mhm.
case there was any concerns.
If we wanted to do just 4 or 5 of the spots like the gentleman said, could we just do that and call it good?
Pick a couple of the,
Leave it
First
rock or
ones-
put it back as asphalt back in those holes.
Well, if we can
I'd
get
put-
the asphalt.
if we can get the asphalt, put the asphalt in.
I'll have to do some crunching on our budget for
Okay.
this year because we spent all of our asphalt budget this year already.
Okay.
It's been used up.
Well,
A question to Darren?
but I guess you wouldn't be, yeah, you wouldn't be spending the money on tearing the road up and replacing rock. We wouldn't want to go over the budget we had set for the rock road.
So that 50,000 included our labor, which is not, the 50,000 included our labor and our machinery, not material purchases, not total material purchases. Asphalt is expensive, $400 a ton.
Asphalt's expensive.
Could I make a suggestion? Is that
Sure.
just for the point of where we're at tonight? I think the commission would agree, there's some additional concerns that need to be thought about. If we table this and not start the project Wednesday, or when you started,
We can do that.
table this till the October 11th commission meeting. Brendan can put together an agenda item for several different options as to removing it completely repaving 1 mile at a time. That would be an easy figure for 5 miles. Or going back through, that would give them some time to go out there and identify 5, 10 key areas, how many feet, how much time, expense it would cost. Road closures and things like that. We can bring that back on a future commission agenda item to
We
lay
could-
out all the numbers to the statistics, time, and the commission can make a better determination. Plus, it also postpones the process now until after harvest. Allow that to get through
We
as
could
well.
do that. As the people out there says, this is their road, they have to drive it. And if they have a viable solution with what they're saying, and it doesn't cost us any more than tearing it up and putting in rock, why, I'm willing to look at that. And I think fellow commissioners are too.
Absolutely.
Are you,
One more statement, though, with that 50,000 that you had budgeted already, could we put that 50,000 to our Band-Aid?
So-
Don't give it to somebody else, patch our road.
Some of that is labor, my labor that I have.
Yes.
So I'd have to send someone home without pay, potentially. I'll have to look at my budget. Nothing's ever impossible,
I'm just
but
trying to state that if you had 50,000 set aside, that you were gonna make a project, that
Yes.
you give it to us and then instead of giving it to somebody else.
with the
Maybe
commission-
within your proposal next month is see how much of an area you can do for 50,000, how many of those 100-foot stretches that'll get us this year, and that way it kind of gives us an idea of for next year as well. If we keep, the budget's already approved for next year, but that is a non-budgeted fund, so that there is a little leeway for next year.
I would say, though, if everyone could please keep in mind, while certainly we're willing to try to meet you partway, and along those lines, to the two gentlemen that offered to donate rock, even if we didn't end up taking that donation, I thought that was very nice of you to be willing to do that. But, if we can combine affordability with something that will be a safe patch. To your point, 4 or 5 spots, and that seems reasonable, but we don't want to do it in such a way where it's going to create some sort of a safety hazard for folks that drive on it. So,
And I agree, you as commissioners, it's not your fault. This road has been neglected by past commissioners for too long. And I appreciate you guys working with us to come to conclusion.
sure. Well, we appreciate you guys sitting through the whole meeting so we could kind of wrap up on a high note. Most folks will visit with us about what they want, and then they'll just leave. So thank you for sticking it out.
has there been a study on that road? Because the young lady in the back there had mentioned guardrails. Has there been a study on that as far as site?
Yes. So that's an FAS route, and as part of our local road safety plan that was conducted, they looked at those safety improvements, countywide on all of these routes. It's why we have no passing signs on the paved roads. It's why the intersections are going to be remarked, re-signed, potentially rumble strips added. They're along Old 40 in Victoria and Walker. That was our last one that was approved. It did not have adding guardrail along that stretch of roadway.
Okay.
Not that it doesn't need it, but not that it wasn't shown as a systemic improvement.
Can you easily or within, by the October 11th meeting, kind of have an estimate on what it would take for guardrails at each ditch area?
We can look into it, yes.
I mean, best estimate?
I guess I want to bring this up to Mr. Getchlock. The time he had asked us to put double yellow lines right by his house. I sat in the vehicle with him, and he was going to furnish the paint because he is out there along as all these other people. They all know this road. We about seen an accident. We about seen a death, and I know I had brought that up to you, and so these people all out here, that's their concerns. They want this.
The lines were painted on it and someone was driving across the painted lines. That traffic study we had, there's 60.9% of the people were going above the speed limit on that. Our meter only goes to 80 miles an hour, and we had people in that 70 to 80 mile an hour bracket, 75. So they were going at least 75, but could have been going more than 80. I mean, that was 4 years ago, and like they've said, no maintenance been done for 10 years. So it's not like the road was awesome and super passable back then. That concerns me about the safety of my workers working on this while people are trying to drive through it, if they're gonna go through at that speed.
So when we get the road up, the sheriff may be writing a lot of tickets to these people out here, is what you're saying?
Not my
or-
department, I can't. Yeah, that was alarming, because like they've all said, it's been a rough road,
Yeah.
unsafe road in spots for the last.
That seems a little alarming to me, because I am on that road a lot, and I've got cattle along there, I've got farm ground along there, and I can't say as I've seen any of them fly through. Once in a great while, I can say, from my driveway, there's been some pretty. I'm talking through the hills. Yeah, no. I'm talking through the hills. Yeah. I can't vouch for it.
And that,
I don't think they're gonna be going 80 mile an hour, unless it's a non-native, because a native isn't gonna.
and that's where my concern about trying to leave one lane open is, if we're on the backside of a hill with our machinery, and someone's going that fast, isn't paying attention to the signs, and they crest one of those hills while we're working on it like that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what's.
Safety's an issue.
Yes.
It is. We're not saying that.
Oh, we will table this issue until October 11th, and then we'll try to find a solution that's agreeable to all parties.
Very much appreciated.
And who wants to be your contact person or people, so we can keep you up to speed?
I'll be the contact person. You can.
Honestly, it doesn't just affect, so when my daughter gets on the bus, it may be a 45-minute straight line for her to go around that to get to school. But when she comes home at night, she has all those kids in between that she has to stop at and get up around to me to drop my daughter off. So we're talking way over 45 minutes to get her dropped off at the bus. So I would ask that you actually probably let the superintendent and let her bus drivers know, and let the other families know for looking at it.
I think letting the school district know would be
Okay.
relevant, letting them know what's going on.
I've got her number, and I've got Dean, so. Got Darren's. Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Joe, do you have the next executive session?
I do. Let me put these on so I read it the right way. I move the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session for 15 minutes under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. The subject to be discussed during this executive session is a personnel matter. Those in attendance in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Brendan McKay, Bill Jeter, and Darren Myers.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, I move to the Board of County Commissioners recess to the executive session for 20 minutes on potential litigation. Those attending, Bill Jeter, Brandon Kay, Darren Myers.
I'll second that motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 2-0. What pictures are we seeing, Darren?
Just pictures of the road progress up north.
Oh, okay.
If you want to cancel the meeting or stop the meeting too, that's fine.
Oh,
Whatever you think's appropriate.
Yeah, wait and adjourn the meeting.
okay, there is no action, and the meeting will adjourn at 7:32.
Those are